Welcome back to another episode of We Don't Know What to Watch, the podcast where two guys watch movies, I guess, and then we talk about them, I guess. With me, as always, is the Mothra to my Godzilla, Kyle Mulford, and I'm Noah Sutton. How you doing, Kyle?
Are we watching more Godzilla? I'm
I'm
doing
always watching Godzilla.
I'm doing good. I watched movies and that always makes me happy.
That is nice. So this is one of our mini maxi episodes called "What You Watching," where we just talk about what movies we're watching. So I'll go ahead and go first, if that's okay with you, Kyle.
That is A-okay.
First, I watched "She Done Him Wrong,"
Oh
which is
no. She done him wrong.
"She Done Him Wrong," which is an old Mae West pre-code, pre-Hays Code comedy. So it's kind of fun because she wrote a lot of her own material even when she was in the movies. So that means things can get a little spicier with innuendo.
Nice.
So it's really fun to see that, especially in the pre-code, because the pre-code could get away with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you're right, it can.
And then I watched I'm No Angel, which was another one of another Mae West pre-code film. And this one, her love interest was Cary Grant.
Oh, cool.
So it's really fun to see. Hey, what are you doing here? Very baby-faced Cary Grant.
Did she done him wrong too?
No, she just decided that she wasn't an angel.
Oh, okay. All right, that's fair.
Yeah. Next, I watched a weird, goofy 60s movie with lots of fake blood called The Undertaker and His Pals. Have you heard of this one?
That sounds familiar. Is it what is this one? It might be what I'm thinking of, but
This one is about two crazy motorcycle guys who go around and kill people, and then they make sure they have the funerals at this one funeral home so that the funeral director, Undertaker guy, can get rich.
I feel like I think I've seen this. Yes, I have. I think I have this on a DVD collection, and if I remember, it's quite fun.
It is very silly, barely over an hour, so just kind of do 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 do.
Yeah, I'm now. It's now coming back to me. Yes, that is, and it's a bizarre movie, but it's quite fun.
Yeah, one guy gets like partially dissolved, and then like another guy gets like turned into hamburger meat or something. So it just doesn't take itself so seriously, and neither should you. Then I watched Krampus, a
Sweet.
2015 Michael Dougherty film. I did not realize he directed it. I really love his work in Trick or Treat.
Oh, is he the one who did? Was that a collaborative effort, Trick or Treat, or was that just one?
I think it was a solo directing job.
Okay, because I know it's like it's kind of a anthology, kind of not.
Yeah, interconnected anthology film. So
Yeah, I didn't realize that was him either. I've seen Krampus. That's good. So
yeah, I really liked that, especially when we got to see like all the weird helpers, like the evil toys and like the bizarre elves, and just I like the design of Krampus and a good cast, especially because there's a lot more comedy actors like Adam Scott, David Koechner.
yeah,
I think that's how you pronounce his name.
so
It
he's
just
done a Halloween movie and a Christmas movie now.
I can't wait for his Easter Bunny movie or his Arbor Day movie.
President's Day.
Next, I watched Godzilla Mothra Tokyo SOS, and this one has Godzilla, Mothra, and Mechagodzilla in it.
I thought you were gonna say and Tokyo.
And Tokyo's in it too. Godzilla's doing his thing. They use Mechagodzilla to help fight Godzilla. Mothra shows up too to help against fight Godzilla. They're like, hey. And this one's weird because it's a different Godzilla than the original one from 1954. And they use the bones of that original Godzilla to create Mechagodzilla. So it
Nice.
kind of has like a weird mind of its own sometimes, kind of doesn't. Well, it's a giant robot fighting Godzilla and a giant butterfly. What more do you want?
I, I don't know, a giant bunny.
Yeah, and no giant bunnies yet. So then I watched The Wizard of Oz. I hadn't seen that one in a very long time, and I watched it. And I also watched this one, especially because I have the Riff Tracks commentary track for it, and they made a lot of good jokes. It's fun to see those guys ever take on a good movie every once in a while.
Yeah, that can always be fun, especially like because they still have a lot of respect for the movie, but
Hmm.
sometimes there's jokes in there people don't want to say because it's such a great movie, but no, you gotta make fun of these sometimes. You gotta point out the
Hmm.
flaws. That was actually one of my daughter's, my oldest daughter. It was one of her favorite movies when she was about 4. and she actually had like imaginary friends, and they were like the Cowardly Lion and Dorothy and all of them. She'd like talk to them too. It was weird. I've never actually. She actually had legit imaginary friends that she'd talk to.
Aw,
it
those are
was
pretty good ones to have.
it was pretty cute.
Yeah, I mean, this movie has stuck around for a reason. It is very colorful. The Technicolor still looks great, and the costumes still look fun. The songs are still memorable. I still like the Scarecrow and the weird way he walks and dances, and I still like the wizard and just kind of the big face. And then first was revealed how it really was just a guy.
Yeah,
It's kind of this weird fairy tale sort of logic to it. And then, Glinda Goodwitch. It's an iconic film, and people still remember it for a reason.
yeah, it's a wonderful one.
hmm And the jokes are pretty good. They made fun of the Lollipop Guild a lot. How like the Lollipop Guild was basically the mob of Munchkinland. How they all like,
Uh,
oh no, I just owe a bunch of money to the Lollipop Guild.
and if you cross the Lollipop Guild,
Exactly. Then I watch Godzilla Final Wars. This one was made in 2004 as sort of the 50th anniversary celebration of Godzilla. And this one was fun because it's just bonkers. Basically, Godzilla and the Monster Pals are messing stuff up. Humans aren't doing so well. And then these really nice aliens comes like, say, hey, we'll like make everything better for you guys. We're totally good guys. And guess what?
they're not.
They're not so good guys.
They're not so
And you
bad.
And you know what that means? That means they control all the monsters, so humanity is just like, well, I guess we're doomed. And then there's kind of like one mustachioed general guy, kind of, grizzled military man who never trusted the aliens. Him and like a group of fighters go like, all right, there's only one way we can save humanity. Let Godzilla loose and have him fight all the monsters for the aliens.
There's only one way. Get Randy Quaid in a biplane.
Pretty much. And at this point, it really is just like a crazy guy. No, it really is just like towards the end, it's just like a game of Super Smash Brothers because Godzilla just keeps tearing through all these fun different monsters in different ways. So I definitely like that one. Good effects, good Godzilla, lots of fun action. Feels like a wrestling match where they're just throwing each other around half the time. It doesn't take itself super seriously, but definitely a good. If you're a Godzilla fan, definitely watch that one because they just go through a ton of monsters. And who
Awesome.
doesn't love monsters?
Love
Next,
monsters.
next I watched Rare Exports: A Christmas Tale. Have you seen this one?
Yes.
Yes. This is what, a Finnish film or like a Scandinavian film?
Yeah, so it's somewhere some Scandinavian film, yeah.
Yep. An evil corporation is drilling in somewhere like in the Arctic Circle. People out there living are working for them, and they realize, hey, wait a minute, something's not quite right. And they find the original Santa Claus and all those weird helpers. They have to fight them off to keep them because children start disappearing.
Creepy
The big
Santa.
creepy Santa. There's just a bunch of creepy Santas, and they're all naked, and they all have these long beards. And then the end of the movie is really funny too. So definitely a horror film, but definitely sort of has a bit of a humorous edge to it as well. Good stuff. So I like my weird Christmas movies.
For sure.
Next, I watched Crank. Have you
Ah, you
seen?
watched it.
I finally watched Crank, and it is glorious. I really want there to be a Crank 3
Yeah.
so much because I haven't seen Crank 2 yet, but it's sitting on my shelf. So
Oh, I was gonna say if you don't have it, flipping through movies on different streaming services, I saw that Crank 2 is on Tubi, so
nice.
high
But
voltage.
yes, I mean, Crank basic plot: hitman named Chev Chelios doesn't do what the guy wants, so the guys decide to poison him. And like, if his heartbeat goes below like a certain level, he has to keep his adrenaline running, otherwise he'll die. So he does a ton of crazy things to keep his adrenaline up, including just like drinking a ton of energy drink, crashing a car, drinking tons of coffee, injecting himself with like fake like EpiPens and stuff. So just epinephrine, all the other fighting bad guys, cuts a guy's hand off. Just it's a movie that just decides to go nuts, and Jason Statham is game for it.
If I
And
remember
it's
correctly, the camera work and the directing is on like is keeping its
it,
adrenaline up too.
exactly, it feels like you're on drugs when you're watching this movie in a good way. Yeah, it's only 90 minutes, and it doesn't. So it's just like, hey, we're just gonna do weird stuff during this movie.
Yes.
A lot of fun. There need to be more bonkers action movies. I want Crank 3. I want a Crank crossover with Fast and the Furious called like Fast and the Furious Crank or whatever.
Fast and the Crankiest.
Fast
No,
and the Crankiest. I want to see Chev Chelios fight Jason Statham's character from Fast and Furious.
that could be interesting. Jason Statham fighting Jason Statham.
hmm Then I watched Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, which comes before the Godzilla Mothra Tokyo SOS. So this is the one where they build the Mechagodzilla that is used in that film. It's fun. Godzilla fights Mechagodzilla. He's got like a cool freeze ray technology. I mean, everyone loves Mechagodzilla.
For sure.
Then I watched Jingle Jangle, which came out on Netflix this December, and this one is a lot of fun. It's called Jingle Jangle: A Christmas Journey, and it's a musical. And it's about like a very heavily inspired by things like Mary Poppins, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, with that sort of style of production design. A lot of fun, like clockwork, almost steampunky sort of thing. Where it's an inventor played by Forrest Whitaker. He had his book of inventions stolen from him by his former apprentice, and his apprentice who's now a bad guy is played by Keegan Michael Key. And they all have cool music numbers. John Legend help out with the music, so you know you're in a good well. Choreography is great too, very fun, very colorful, and now it's about this inventor's granddaughter who comes to stay with him around Christmas time, and they have to find out the next big invention and how to stop the bank from foreclosing on the toy shop because he's a big toy inventor.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a new Netflix original out this year. Definitely recommended. I read an interview with the director, and one of the things he talked about how as a kid he loved Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, but then when sharing it with his own children, his kids had trouble relating to it because it's just a bunch of white people. So the majority of the main cast they're all black, and I was watching this one. And it turns out even in some of the dance sequences in the film, they actually moved in some real African dance moves into it as well. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, fun little Christmas movie. Good music. I think this one it could be well deserved, especially for families.
I'll have to look for that one.
And lastly, I watched Colossal, starring Anne Hathaway and Jason Sudeikis. Have you seen this one?
Yeah, that one's kind of a cool little movie.
It is a fun little indie kaiju movie. Basically, young woman whose life is kind of falling apart. She drinks too much. She had a lot of self-destructive behavior. Her boyfriend kicks her out. She has to move back home, and then she realizes somehow at the same time some weird like monsters like appearing and like some weird giant monsters appearing in Seoul, South Korea, and then she somehow figures out, wait a minute, I'm somehow connected to this monster, and this monster only appears at this specific time when I walk into like this weird park.
Yeah. And Jason Sudeikis in this movie. That's a departure.
Yeah, it's definitely a departure for both of them without trying not to spoil anything, but yeah,
Yeah, I don't want
it's
to say
definitely more
anything more
dramatic.
other than it's kind of a departure to Jason Sudeikis. I don't want to say anything more about his character.
Yeah, obviously he's from SNL. We know him more as a comedy guy, sort of a charming straight man, and he does well in this movie because especially it's much more dramatic than we're used to seeing him, and he holds it well. I like to see him do more stuff, do more dramatic stuff,
Yeah,
and of course, Anne Hathaway is Anne Hathaway. She does great at everything.
of course.
And that's what I got. What do you got?
I got a few things here. First off, I watched Gladiator from 2000, Ridley Scott film, Russell Crowe, Joaquin Phoenix.
Were you entertained?
I was entertained. I really loved this one back when it came out, and I still do. I really do like this movie. I think Joaquin Phoenix is great in this. His scene with his father, and whoever's seen it knows what I'm talking about. I think it's like really good scene.
Is that where they start like, making out or something?
Yeah, no, it's a spoiler
I
movie.
have I have not seen it, so
Oh, this is streaming on HBO Max right now. So,
mhm.
fighting's cool. Russell Crowe's great in this. I always like Russell Crowe as an actor, and yeah, and then you've got Richard Harris, who we've talked about in our Harry Potter episode, um,
Mhm.
and and Oliver Reed playing Proximo. He's an old
That's
actor. I just always remember Oliver Reed from a movie I discovered several years ago called Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hype or something like that. It was a canon film. Really
Nice.
bizarre.
Oliver Reed was in a lot of weird stuff in the 70s too. So.
Yeah. No, it's a really great movie if you haven't seen it. And it is a Best Picture winner.
Mm-hmm.
And then I watched Family Movie Night again. My daughter wanted to watch, it was her turn to choose, and she really loved Airplanes. So she wanted to watch that again. And I was like, there's a sequel. She goes, there's a sequel to Airplane? So we're like, let's watch that one. So I watched Airplane 2, the sequel. And is it as good as the first one? No. But the thing is this one gets like a really bad rap. Like people really don't like this film.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I laughed a lot. Some of the jokes are kind of repeats from the first, but then there's some other great bits. So there's the moon base at the end with William Shatner is his fun. So no, I enjoyed this one a lot, and yeah, it's no original Airplane, but I think it's better than people give it credit for.
Mm-hmm.
Then I watched Avengers Endgame on Disney Plus. Just wanted to revisit the Avengers run, and this one is a little long, but it's so much fun through the whole thing. It's one of those where I like it while I'm watching it, and then when I want to watch it again, I'm like, oh, it's so long. I'm like, am I going to enjoy this again? And then I watch it, I'm going, oh yeah, because it's a fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a cool movie. So
Yeah, people have. We don't really need to say anything else about that one.
yeah, I'm sure y'all have probably seen it, and if you haven't, it's on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Then I watched a 1981 film called True Confessions, and I've never even heard of this one before. And this is Robert De Niro and Robert Duvall, and De Niro plays a priest, and Robert Duvall is his brother, who's a detective, and Duvall is like he's a homicide detective, and he's working on a case of a prostitute that got killed, and then it ties in with his Catholic priest brother and corruption in the church, and it sounds more interesting than it really was. It might be why I'd never heard of it, even though it's
Mm-hmm.
Duvall and De Niro. I mean, two great actors, and I can't believe how bored I was with this movie. So that's on Prime if you want to watch it. If you're a De Niro or Duvall completist.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, next thing I watched was The Matrix, 1999. Still a great movie. Some of the effects, they'll always be spectacular for their time. Some of them don't hold up, but some of them are like, wow, I can't believe they did that stuff. And I'm not a huge fan of, what is it, Reloaded and
Revolution.
whatever
We
remixed.
did Revolutions here.
Yes, we did an episode on Revolutions, and I'm not a huge fan of those two movies, but I really wish they hadn't made them, and now they're making a fourth one because I think The Matrix is a perfect standalone film. I
Mm-hmm.
really think it's an amazing film. Like just everything it talks about with reality. Later in their career, the Wachowskis got a little too into their own heads, but I think this one had a lot of good ideas in it.
Hey, I love Jupiter Ascending. It is so nutty.
That's a word for it. Yeah. I'm
Yes,
not sure how I feel about that one. Um,
but I do think that
what was that one? Cloud Atlas. That one
Cloud
was.
Atlas is a legitimately good movie. I really like Cloud Atlas.
See, I watched that, and maybe I'm just dumb because I was like, I have no idea what this movie is about. Like, not a clue what Cloud Atlas was about when I was done watching. I'm like, you got me. I like that. Just was a confusing ball of mess to me.
Yeah, it is weird structurally because the book it was based on is also kind of weird structurally. Like, so I could tell you the first half of a story, could stop mid sentence, tell you the first half of like four stories, and then tell you the second half of those four stories or whatever.
Yeah. Anyway,
And they are
the Matrix is
connected in
a
some sort of way.
perfect movie, though. I love it.
Mhm.
Then I
The
watched.
other perfect Wachowski movie is, of course, Speed Racer.
I still haven't watched that one. That one I do want to see because I used to watch the old show.
That one really comes from a deep place of love for all things anime.
That's what I've heard.
And First time I saw it when it was in theaters, I thought it was okay. That movie grows on you for some reason. I don't know why, but it's just so much fun. I mean, at one point, it's got John Goodman fighting ninjas in his in like his pajamas or something. So,
I mean, it's got John Goodman in it. Why have I not seen it? I don't know.
what more do you want? And the actual sort of racing scenes, especially the big final race, is legitimately compelling, and it's a good action.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to seek that one out. I've wanted to watch that one. Then I watched a movie called The Nines. It's from 2007. I watched this on Sony Crackle, and this is a weird movie. It was directed by John August. It's the only movie he ever directed. It's got Ryan Reynolds and Melissa McCarthy, Hope Davis, and a really young Elle Fanning. She looks like she's probably like 7 or 8 in this movie.
Nice.
Um, Plays the daughter of Melissa McCarthy. It's focuses on Ryan Reynolds, and he plays 3 different characters throughout the movie, and they're like weirdly intertwined with each other. And it's I don't know. It's a strange movie, and I guess I really didn't care for it. And what
One of
the
them was Deadpool, one of them was Green Lantern, and one of them was the guy from The Proposal.
yes, that would have made the movie much more interesting.
And the
Uh,
fourth one was Detective Pikachu.
yeah, I wasn't really a huge fan of this one, so yeah. Then I watched Alien. This one I watched on Blu-ray because I've got the quadrilogy at home. So 1979, another Ridley Scott film.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all know this one.
Yep. Classic for a reason.
If you're into sci-fi, then if you haven't seen this, what the hell are you waiting for? Then another family movie night. My youngest daughter's turn to pick, and she chose
And you watched Aliens.
yes. No, we watched Finding Dory, and I might have talked about this one on another episode one time because I don't think it's been too long ago since we watched this one. So I think it's a sweet movie. It's a good sequel.
I never saw it.
It's if you liked Finding Nemo, it's worth a watch. It really is. It's got a good message for people with the message about people with disabilities. With Dory, and then there's some
Mm-hmm.
other animals they run into too, and just kind of showing how they're each unique in their own way and how they are special. So I thought it was really good, cute and good. Um, then I watched a documentary. I've got a Frank Capra box set, and there's a '97 made for TV movie called Frank Capra's American Dream. It's a documentary hosted by Ron Howard, and it just kind of goes through Capra's career, which is really interesting. And I will actually save that because I might mention some more of that stuff in our podcast we're going to do for our Christmas episode called "It's a Wonderful Life."
Hint, hint.
And
Subscribe.
I I would say that that's a hint of things to come, but I don't know if my timing this will come out before or after that episode. uh, anyway, then on to I watched a musical that dropped this year on Netflix as well called The Prom. This one I think is based off of a Broadway musical, I guess.
Yeah, the Broadway show was like in 2018, if I remember correctly.
And it was directed by Ryan Murphy, who did Glee, and
An American Horror Story.
and American Horror Story. But I mean, this is closer to Glee a little bit, just a little, just a tad. It's about a high schooler who wants to go prom, wants to go to prom with another girl, and because she wants to do that, the school board is not allowed to not let them in, so instead they cancel prom.
Because the parents are jerks.
Yes, and the school, the PTA or whatever, is run by Kerry Washington, being a bitch to all these high school.
Evil Karen Washington.
And the music is fun, and it's a really good movie about like inclusion and all that stuff. Good musical, some good music. The only thing is the other people in it is you got Meryl Streep, James Corden, Nicole Kidman, Kerry Washington, Keegan Michael Key. So he's in 2 Netflix musicals apparently. I didn't
Nice.
even know he could sing, and all of a sudden he's in a couple of musicals. And then introducing I think introducing. I don't think she's been in any other actual movies, maybe some shows or something. The main girl is played by Joe Ellen Pellman, and she does a really good job. The only thing I didn't like was Meryl Streep's character. It kind of overtook the movie, and ironically, she has a song. Her and Corden and Nicole Kidman are like Broadway stars that are really narcissistic, and that's the
Hmm.
point of them is that they're narcissistic. So they're going to help this girl with the prom debacle so that they can help their careers and their PR and everything. And ironically, Meryl Streep has a song that's called It's Not About Me. Well,
Hmm.
but ironically, the whole movie ends up really like pulling its focus away from the main plot by being about her way too much. And that's the one thing I didn't like about the movie because I felt like it pulled away from the main plot too much.
And I assume that James Corden was still like in his full cat's costume,
Yes, of
and
course.
just nobody mentioned it.
It was just it was just there, just as a cat.
Yep.
So
Very, very.
it's a good movie though. The songs were good. There's nothing, no songs that are really memorable that really stood out to me that I can really remember at all. But it was an enjoyable movie. Um, then I watched Star Wars Episode 8: The Last Jedi. I wanted to revisit this one from 2017. So this one I watched on Blu-ray, but I think it's streaming on Disney Plus. I think all the Star Wars are all the Wars of the Stars,
Except the holiday special.
except for the holiday special, just because it's got Wookiee porn in it.
Did you have a nice life day?
Yes, uh, the Last Jedi is one of those where it's like I like Ryan Johnson as a director, and I like the ideas he put into this. There's a few things that don't land with me, some character like some jokes in there that really didn't felt out of place in a Star Wars movie. And then I will have to say the Rose and Finn going to Canto Bight, that whole segment just needed to be booted from the movie because it didn't add anything and it didn't go anywhere and it didn't do anything to propel the story. But other than that, I like. I'm one of those that actually likes what they did with Luke Skywalker in this, and
Mhm.
where they went with some of the other characters and everything. And I wish that they would have acknowledged this movie more when they made the final movie.
Yeah, yeah. How do you compare this to Rise of Skywalker? Because I know a lot of people, some people don't like this movie, but then love Rise of Skywalker. Then some people like Last Jedi, then don't like Rise of Skywalkers.
I like them both. I think this one took more bold new choices and tried to go new directions. I liked Rise of Skywalker for the same reason I like Force Awakens because it felt like a Star Wars movie, and that's the one thing people hated about this movie is it didn't feel just like all those other Star Wars movies. It didn't, but it still had it was still about Star Wars, but he chose to do something different with it, and I liked that. So
Because I'm sure this movie has been very under discussed, especially on the internet by white guys.
yeah, I know, right? So I'm just adding to that.
Yeah, it's my favorite Star Wars movie. If you don't like it, I get it. I do really like it. That's cool.
Yep. So and then I think I'm on my final movie here, and there's a movie that came out in 2019, and man, did people love this movie! And I finally got to see this movie. Raving about it online, 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. Port-
Cats?
Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Oh, I've heard really good things.
Meh.
Not for you?
No, it was one of those uh, too many shots just lingering so that film critics could go, oh, but it's so deep and it's such a complex story. No, it's about a girl who's it's a period piece, and a girl gets commissioned to do a portrait for this one woman's daughter, and then they're gonna use the portrait to marry her off to some dude. Well, while she's there painting her, they fall in love with each other, and then it's a love that can't happen, and so then the painting gets done, and then fit the they fit the whole Orpheus and Eurydice uh storyline in there too. And
And then it ends where they both burst into flames and fly off into space.
yeah, and the lady on fire part was like just the weirdest scene. They're around a campfire with a bunch of other women. I don't even know why they're at this campfire. and they all start singing really weird. I think it has to do with a subplot. They meet these women because they're going to help out with something else that's a subplot. But then the one girl's dress catches on fire, and she just like looks down at it and then falls down. It was very like, I don't know, just kind of like, oh, my dress is on fire, I'm gonna fall, and now the other lady's gonna paint that portrait so that we can call this movie Portrait of a Lady on Fire and get some sort of deeper meaning out of that. You know,
Hmm.
I I don't know. It was kind of a dull movie. Um,
Hey,
it's a
you
very,
like it, that's great.
yeah.
That's one of those things. So.
It's one of those where it's a really good story, beautiful story, two women that fall in love, and it's one of those loves that can't happen. Blah blah blah. It's a really good story. Just wasn't my thing. So it's worth a look if you like period pieces and whatever. So, but that's what I've been watching. Unfortunately, I had a few in there that I don't really recommend. Nothing horrible this time, like last time. but a few that I'm just like, I was just kind of on.
Cats is on HBO Max too.
I am gonna watch that at some point.
You gonna watch it with your kids? It is rated PG.
I don't know if I want to subject them to that, because if they like that, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
We could do an entire special episode on cats, and I'd be down for it. Remember, I saw it in theaters opening weekend. I saw the unfinished cut where you could see like someone's like at one point Judy Dench is just like has a human hand instead of a cat hand.
maybe we need to do that one.
Maybe. Sometimes you got to look at some trash.
But anyway, that's what we've been watching, and let us know what you've been watching and comment below. Tell us what's good out there, and you can. In the meantime, you can catch us on Twitter at AwesomeKM,
And I'm at Noah_Saturn, SATERN.
and we're on Instagram at We Don't Know What to Watch. And until next time, keep on watching.
Yep. And cats. Meow.